Over the next 100 years, England will go through massive changes, sporadic civil unrest, continental-sized wars, civil war, or revolution, from a new Stuart dynasty completely failing, poverty increasing drastically due to the growing issue of the enclosure of the commons, and massive religious unrest between the Puritans and Anglicans. Britain was at a crossroads. The two major sides were the Royalists and the Parliamentarians. As Christopher Hill, the famed British Marxist historian of the 20th century, wrote, the Civil War was a class war, in which the despotism of Charles I was defended by the reactionary forces of the established church and conservative landlords, and on the other side stood the trading and industrial classes of towns and the countryside, and the yeomen and progressive gentry, and wider masses of the population whenever they were able by free discussion to understand what the struggle was really about. During the English Civil War or English Revolution, many different radical groups formed and tried to expand political and economic power to the people. The most radical of these new groups were become known as the Diggers. They were Protestant radicals who separated from another radical group called the Levelers. They didn't believe in private ownership of land, so they farmed and lived in communal villages. They would go and destroy the enclosures made by the aristocratic class. Forming multiple colonies within England, the radical Levelers and Diggers, though, would be undermined by the parliamentarian leader Oliver Cromwell. He consolidated power after the king's execution. He stamped out civil liberties in Ireland and Scotland for the profits of English capitalists. Cromwell created a quasi-military dictatorship and dissolved the new English Parliament, which would lead to the English monarchy gaining power again in the Great Restoration, as it's called. The failures of the radical proto-anarchist Diggers, or the more proto-socialist Levelers, were a sign of how future radical revolutions could easily be defeated by center-left forces who adhered to the newly created industrial class. The failure of the Cromwell-led Parliament to both Cromwell's own authoritarianism and eventually the restoration of the British monarchy showed how easily radical revolutions can be co-opted by reactionary authoritative forces, leading to a significant increase in oppression to the masses and the proletarian class. As the